Across the world, there are ancient wonders that continue to defy history itself. A temple carved straight into a single mountain of stone. A monument that appears only when the tide falls. Some places are crowned by colossal stone pillars that make people look like tiny specks. Others are nothing more than stacks of weathered rocks, yet they are older than the Egyptian pyramids. These are some of the most mysterious ancient temples ever built, places where every stone holds a mystery that history has never been able to explain. The 1,200-year-old Kailasa Temple sits deep among the towering cliffs of Ellora, India. But the unbelievable part is that this temple wasn't built up from the ground. The entire structure was carved out of a single piece of rock. The towers, hallways, courtyards, and elephant statues are all part of the original bedrock. Step inside, and Kailasa no longer feels like an ordinary temple. The passageways sit beneath a massive layer of rock that's still connected to the mountain. The stone pillars holding up the ceiling are still rough, as if the rooms were never fully separated from the mountain itself. Take a closer look, and you'll notice there's barely any empty space left on the rock surface. Statues, relief carvings, and intricate patterns cover almost every wall, even after more than 1,000 years. The stone pillars were made the same way. They weren't put in place afterward. They were carved directly from the remaining rock. Archaeologists believe the builders started at the top of the mountain and carved their way downward. That method required every measurement to be accurate from the very beginning, because even one small mistake could have ruined the entire structure. It's estimated that hundreds of thousands of tons of rock were removed to create this monolithic temple. Even today, the scale of the work and the engineering behind its construction continue to amaze modern engineers. For Hindus, Kailasa is also a symbol of Mount Kailash, believed to be the home of Lord Shiva, making the temple both an architectural masterpiece and a sacred pilgrimage site for centuries. Next is Hoysaleswara Temple, built on layers of stone in Halebidu. At first glance, you'll probably notice how low, dark, and heavy the temple looks. with its deep entrance set between grey stone blocks that have stood here since the 12th century. The temple walls fold into multiple layers, completely covered with carvings of elephants, warriors, gods, and decorative patterns that wrap around the entire structure. Right at the entrance, two guardian statues have quietly stood watch for nearly 9 centuries. The temple was built to honor Lord Shiva, while also serving as a way for the kings to display their wealth, devotion, and the artistic achievements of their kingdom. Every carved panel tells stories from the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, making the entire temple feel like a history book written in stone. Today, creating details this precise would usually require lathes and precision cutting equipment, yet these carvings were made nearly 900 years ago using only the handcrafting skills of Hoysala artisans. Light filters through the corridors, bringing every layer of carving into view. Outside, the entire temple still stands as proof of the masterful stonework of a civilization that once flourished in southern India. This is Ollantaytambo in Peru, where Inca stone walls cling directly to the mountainside above the sacred valley. From below, terraces, stairways, and defensive walls rise one after another, turning the entire mountainside into a massive structure. Instead of leveling the landscape, the Inca used the natural terrain itself to create temples, living spaces, and defensive systems. Trapezoid-shaped doorways appear throughout the site, helping the walls withstand earthquakes and shifting ground. The stone blocks fit together so tightly that they hardly needed any mortar, while the small doorways still open directly toward the valley below. Water from the mountains was channeled through carved stone channels into small basins used for ceremonies and everyday life. After centuries, part of this system is still working, showing the remarkable planning skills of the Inca. High in the Andes, among the enormous natural boulders, there's a large carved figure set into the middle, like the remains of an ancient ceremonial site. Ollantaytambo doesn't sit quietly on level ground. It climbs straight up the mountainside on massive stone stairways, all connected together like a system gripping the steep slopes. Leaving behind the image of stone stairways, we arrive at My Son Sanctuary in Vietnam, where the forest surrounds ancient brick towers. On the old brick walls, Cham statues of the gods still emerge through the moss, cracks, and the marks left by sun and rain. Even though many of the details have worn away, the carved faces remain clear enough to show that this was once a major ceremonial center. Among the forest, the Cham people can still be seen alongside the remains of My Son. Inside the exhibition area, carved stone fragments, ancient inscriptions, and pieces of architecture have been preserved. They show that this place is more than just a ruin. It was once a major ceremonial center of the Champa Kingdom. As you go deeper into My Son, the path leads past broken brick walls and grass-covered temple foundations. Looking farther out, the remaining Cham towers are scattered across the green forest and low hills. Rain, sunshine, and time have taken much of the site away, but what still stands shows that this was once a major ceremonial center in central Vietnam. When people talk about Mahabalipuram on India's southeastern coast, they're talking about stone temples carved directly into granite bedrock. Reliefs, cave temples, and ancient structures are scattered along the shoreline. Forming an architectural complex that has stood for more than 1,300 years. What makes Mahabalipuram special isn't just the age of these monuments. Many of the carvings depict gods, mythical creatures, and scenes from Hindu epics with such incredible detail that each stone seems to be telling an ancient story. Some unusual images have also led to many different interpretations, ranging from religious symbolism to controversial theories, but no archaeological evidence has confirmed those ideas. The domes, pillars, doorways, and elephant statues were all carved directly from natural granite outcrops. Rather than assembling materials, the craftsmen simply removed sections of stone to create the final forms. Every structure reflects the remarkable stoneworking skills of the Pallava dynasty. The massive elephant statues still stand beside the stone platforms like silent guardians watching over the site for centuries. Sea winds, scorching sun, and salty air haven't erased the traces of a civilization that turned solid rock into living works of art. Mahabalipuram leaves its mysteries written in stone. In Malaysia, those mysteries lie inside a mountain. Ahead stands a towering limestone cliff, 272 steps, and a dark cave entrance hidden behind the towering statue of Lord Murugan. Batu isn't just a stop for tourists. Since the late 19th century, it has become the spiritual center of the Tamil Hindu community. After the caves were chosen as a place of worship for Lord Murugan. Over millions of years, these limestone cliffs have become sacred ground for millions of worshippers. To this day, pilgrims and visitors still pass through the temple at the foot of the hill, the surrounding forest, and the limestone cliffs before entering the vast space inside the cave. Light pours in through the cave opening, illuminating the shrines and creating a scene that's both majestic and peaceful. For Malaysia's Tamil Hindu community, Batu Caves is more than just a temple inside a cave. It stands as a symbol of cultural identity, faith, and traditions that have been preserved through generations in a multicultural nation. From a distance, Swayambhunath Temple in Nepal appears as a white stupa surrounded by stone stairways, ancient temple roofs, and thousands of prayer flags fluttering in the wind. At the top of the stupa, the Buddha's eyes quietly gaze in all four directions as a symbol of wisdom and enlightenment. Around the stupa, small temples, prayer wheels, and stone statues stand close together in a courtyard marked by the passage of time. The 2015 earthquake caused many structures around the temple to collapse, but most of the site was later restored using traditional Nepalese building techniques. According to Buddhist legend, this place was once a vast lake before a miraculous lotus bloomed in the middle of the water. As the lake gradually dried up, Swayambhu Hill emerged and became the site of the very first stupa, making this one of Nepal's oldest pilgrimage centers. Every day, monks and worshippers still gather in the temple courtyard to chant, beat drums, and keep rhythm with small musical instruments. Their voices blend with the sound of bells and fluttering prayer flags, creating a sacred atmosphere that has endured for centuries. From this angle, you can see Padmanabhaswamy rising like an ancient temple in the heart of Kerala, with its golden gateway tower standing behind a lake and rows of red rooftops. But the real story isn't above ground. It's beneath this temple. For centuries, the underground vaults here remained sealed shut. When some of the doors were finally opened, they revealed far more than religious objects. Inside were gold, jewelry, precious statues, and treasures that had been preserved for generations. Inside the exhibition area, royal artifacts, porcelain, crystal thrones, and ceremonial objects make one thing clear. This temple isn't just a place dedicated to Lord Vishnu. It's a temple where faith, power, and treasure have all been preserved beneath the ancient walls of southern India. You probably wouldn't believe this temple stands on a rocky outcrop offshore, where ocean waves crash against its base every single day. This is Tanah Lot on the coast of Bali, one of Indonesia's most famous temples. From a distance, it looks like it's floating in the middle of the ocean, connected to the mainland only when the tide goes out. As the water recedes, a stone pathway gradually appears, allowing visitors to walk closer to the temple. When the tide comes back in, the path disappears completely, turning Tanah Lot into a small island surrounded by the sea. That constant change creates a different view at every time of day. At the foot of the rock, priests still prepare offerings, give blessings, and carry on rituals that have been passed down through generations. The scent of incense, the sound of the waves, and whispered prayers blend together, creating a sacred atmosphere in the middle of the sea. For the people of Bali, Tanah Lot is more than just a famous sunset viewpoint. It's also a symbol of the bond between people, the ocean, and the beliefs that have shaped Balinese culture for hundreds of years. If you stand in the middle of the Bagan Plain, Ananda Temple appears with its white walls, golden spires, and tiered rooftops rising beneath the open sky. After nearly 1,000 years, the temple still stands out among the thousands of ancient monuments in Myanmar's former capital. From the outside, pilgrims make their way through the entrances and the small markets surrounding the temple. The farther you walk inside, the darker the corridors become, leading into quiet spaces where the sound of prayer replaces the noise from outside. Lining both sides of the passageways are murals, guardian statues, and shrines that have stood here since the 12th century. At the very center stand towering gilded Buddha statues facing the four directions, representing the Buddhas of the four ages in Buddhist tradition. Ananda Temple was built during the reign of King Ġgantija, when the pagan kingdom was at the height of its prosperity. During that time, thousands of temples, stupas, and monasteries were built across the plain, making Bagan one of the greatest Buddhist centers in Asia. Today, Ananda is more than an ancient monument. Religious ceremonies, festivals, and acts of worship are still held every year, allowing the temple to remain a place where history, faith, and the daily lives of the people of Myanmar come together after nearly 1,000 years. Jwala Ji sits on a hillside in Himachal Pradesh. From a distance, the temple stands out with its pink roof, golden domes, and red flags waving above the entrance. Local people and visitors bring flower garlands, ceremonial scarves, and red-covered offerings to present to goddess Jwala Devi. A steady line of worshippers waits to enter the main shrine, carrying on a faith that has been passed down through generations. For many Hindus, this is more than just a pilgrimage. It's a journey to one of the holiest temples in northern India. The closer you get to the sanctuary, the quieter everything becomes. Bells ring through the incense smoke, while small flames continue to burn from cracks in the rock without any wick or lamp. This phenomenon has been recorded for centuries and has become one of the temple's most unique symbols. According to Hindu belief, these flames are the presence of goddess Jwala Devi. Modern studies suggest they're fueled by natural gas escaping from beneath the ground, but that doesn't diminish the site's spiritual importance to millions of pilgrims. Preah Vihear is more than just a mountaintop temple. It's a lasting legacy of the Khmer Empire, built over centuries to honor Lord Shiva. Every staircase, corridor, and stone gateway leads pilgrims higher up the mountain, like a journey toward the holiest place of all. Construction began in the 9th century and continued to expand under several Khmer kings. During the height of the empire, Preah Vihear served as an important religious center while also demonstrating the power and architectural skill of one of Southeast Asia's greatest civilizations. The temple sits atop a high cliff along the border between Cambodia and Thailand, offering sweeping views across the plains below. This remarkable location carried deep spiritual meaning, while also making the site a strategic stronghold for centuries. Today, Preah Vihear is recognized as a World Heritage Site and continues to attract people eager to explore Khmer history. The story of this place isn't preserved only in its ancient stones. It also reflects the meeting of faith, power, and the changing history of Southeast Asia over more than 1,000 years. Mrauk doesn't look like a ruin sitting out in an open plain. It's hidden among the low hills, lush forests, and misty valleys of western Myanmar. From a distance, you can see clusters of dark stone towers rising between the trees and the red rooftops of monasteries. As the entire structure is built from steel, each section is anchored deep into the bedrock. This design helps keep This place was once the heart of the Arakan Kingdom, but even today, its history remains hidden within its ancient stones. Dhammayangyi rises from the heart of Bagan, like a massive red brick monument beneath a hazy, sunlit sky. As you pass through the main gate, you're met with thick walls, soaring arches, and dark, winding corridors that stretch deep into the heart of the temple. Light slips in through only a few narrow openings, falling across Buddha statues resting inside ancient shrine alcoves. Some passageways have been sealed shut, leaving the feeling that the temple's inner spaces have never been fully revealed. But it's the sheer size, the darkness, and those blocked passageways that make this one of the most unforgettable temples in Bagan. Shite-thaung stands in Mrauk, but it's not the kind of temple that reveals everything at first glance. From the outside, a golden gateway leads into a massive stone structure that's low, thick, and heavy, almost like a fortress. From the perspective of a traveler, the space seems to close in around you, making every step feel slower and more cautious. This isn't just an ancient monument. It's a spiritual labyrinth where history and faith blend together within the ancient stones of the Arakan Kingdom. Madurai Meenakshi isn't hidden away in the forest or high in the mountains. It stands right in the middle of the city, yet it still leaves people amazed by the incredible amount of detail covering every surface. From the temple entrance, countless tiers of deity statues blanket the towering gateways like a visual history of Hinduism. Day after day, pilgrims continue to carry out the temple's traditions with care and devotion, offering incense, carrying the deities into the main sanctuary, and taking part in many other religious ceremonies. It's not just the outside that's impressive. Inside, the temple ceilings are filled with vibrant colors, as paintings cover every surface with symbols that are considered part of the local culture. Sulamani stands in the middle of Bagan like a red brick monument preserved by time. From the dirt road, you can see its main tower rising above a line of low trees. There are no bright colors, only aged brick, deep archways, and weathered walls shaped by years of sun and wind. As you explore farther inside, corridors and doorways lead past Buddha statues and the temple's remaining wall paintings. Many of the images have faded, but their composition is still clearly visible on the ancient plaster. Once the first cable was in place, larger bundles of cables were pulled across one by one. The bridge towers and main cable system gradually took shape. In the end, the entire structure connected the How do you feel standing before the Prambanan Temple complex in Indonesia? Chances are you're amazed by the towering black stone spires rising like sharp points into the sky above Java. The construction began in 1971 and lasted in nearly 2 decades. Engineers had to excavate through multiple layers of As you step inside, the thick stone walls block out the daylight. Across every wall, carved figures, decorative patterns, and scenes from mythology flow one after another like an ancient film carved by hand. Wat Phou lies deep within the lush greenery of southern Laos, at the foot of Mount Phu Khao. From above, the entire temple complex stretches along a perfectly straight axis, as if the Khmer used the landscape itself to guide visitors toward the sacred sanctuary. The path leading to the temple is lined with ancient stone columns, surrounded by ponds and moss-covered terraces. Explore a little farther, and broken statues begin to appear. A Naga serpent head rests on the dry ground. Nearby stands a stone pedestal beside a giant, weathered footprint. Off to one side lies part of a fallen statue, still recognizable enough to show that this place was once connected to Hindu rituals and the worship of Lord Shiva. I recommend taking in the view from the outside first, because Angkor Wat appears like an entire city built from stone, with its 5 towers rising above layers of long galleries. Surrounded by a broad green moat, the Naga balustrades run along the water's edge, leading visitors across the water and straight into the heart of the temple. Step inside, and stone courtyards and long galleries unfold one after another. A closer look reveals that no wall has been left empty. Every surface is filled with Apsara figures, decorative patterns, false doors, carved stone frames, and densely packed reliefs. Angkor Wat isn't just a place of worship. It also reflects the power of the Khmer Empire, its city planning, its engineering skills, and the way its people understood the world through religion. From a distance, you can see Tikal rising from the Guatemalan rainforest like stone towers emerging above the jungle canopy. Of course, you don't see the entire city all at once. All you notice at first are the temple tops rising above the trees, like the last remaining markers of a vast Maya world. The stepped pyramids climb high into the sky, where Maya rulers once stood before their people, and beneath the open heavens. Even the wildlife here lives among the ancient stone ruins, making its home within what people left behind. Looking down below, you'll see stone stelae and altars still standing, preserving traces of ancient rituals, astronomy, and royal authority. Perhaps this was a vast and highly complex Maya city that the world has never truly revealed to humanity. The Temple of Jupiter at Baalbek, also known as the Roman Temple, is breathtaking for its enormous size, with towering columns rising straight from massive golden stone walls. Ahead, a broad staircase leads upward, making it clear that this place was built for ceremonial gatherings on an extraordinary scale. The courtyard is broken into huge stone platforms. Massive stone blocks lie scattered across the site, like the remains of a structure that was once even larger. When you stand here, you can't help but feel tiny among the towering columns, giant stone platforms, and massive surrounding walls. And perhaps because its overall layout seems familiar, Baalbek is often described simply as a Roman ruin, when in fact its enormous stone blocks are the part that's hardest to explain. Perched on a hill overlooking the fertile plains of Java, Borobudur rises like a man-made stone mountain. Forests, green fields, and distant volcanoes surround it on every side. It's one of the largest surviving Buddhist monuments in the world. What's remarkable is that the entire structure was built from about 55,000 cubic meters of volcanic andesite stone. It's considered home to the largest and most complete collection of Buddhist relief carvings in the world, with 2,672 relief panels and 504 Buddha statues. Because of that, Borobudur is more than just a massive temple. It's a vast stone complex where architecture, sculpture, and faith exist together in the heart of Java. Hidden deep within the forests of Cambodia, reddish-brown brick towers stand scattered beneath the trees. Long before Angkor became the symbol of the Khmer Empire, Sambor Prei was the center of Chenla, an ancient kingdom that once ruled this land. The temples here weren't built to impress with their height. They were constructed from fired brick, with false doors, relief carvings, and decorative patterns built directly into the walls. Some structures have cracked with age, others have been overtaken by moss, tree roots, and time. Do you know what's truly important about this place? This is where many of the defining ideas of Khmer architecture first began to take shape. It was this very temple complex that laid the foundation for a civilization that would later spread across Cambodia. This is the legacy of the Chola Empire, a power that once controlled trade, the seas, and vast territories across southern India. Hoysaleswara Temple was built during the reign of King Rajaraja Chola I, not only to honor Lord Shiva, but also as a declaration of power carved in stone. But the most incredible part is the material itself. Even though granite wasn't common in this region, the entire monument was still built from massive granite blocks. In the center of the courtyard stands the enormous Nandi bull statue, perfectly aligned with the main temple. On both sides of the entrance stand guardian deities draped in colorful cloth, their eyes fixed straight ahead. More than 1,000 years ago, this kingdom managed to lift granite to incredible heights, build a tower of this scale, and keep it standing through the centuries. That's the part the world rarely talks about. Don't assume that Thatbyinnyu Temple is just another dull old ruin because of its dark, weathered appearance. The black streaks running down its walls reveal centuries of exposure to every kind of weather. As you venture deeper inside, sunlight filters through small windows, casting soft beams across the white walls. Every chamber holds a sacred statue, placed in a different position. Restoration displays and the surviving architectural details show that the temple has been carefully preserved piece by piece, as if reconnecting what time had taken away. If you want to take a closer look at extraordinary stone craftsmanship, Lepakshi Temple is exactly the place for you. Right in front of you stands a giant Naga serpent sheltering a Shiva lingam, carved directly from a single block of stone. Nearby, rows of stone pillars are covered with carvings of gods, intricate patterns, and details so fine that a camera has to move in close to capture them all. In the unfinished Kalyana Mandapa, the carved pillars still stand exposed in the open courtyard, as if construction had suddenly stopped in the middle of the work. The long corridors, spacious stone courtyard, and tall lamp pillars show that this was once a grand ceremonial space. A stone temple was able to create hanging pillars, monolithic sculptures, carved ceilings, and an intricate column system centuries ago. If the world has hidden anything, it's the true skill of the ancient craftsman. The final destination doesn't appear as a grand gateway or a towering statue. At first glance, you might think it's just a pile of ancient stones, abandoned in an open field, but it isn't. This is Ġgantija, a temple built from enormous limestone blocks stacked on top of one another. According to Maltese legend, it was built by giants, and the name Ġgantija reflects that belief. But even more remarkable is the fact that this monument is older than the Egyptian pyramids, showing us that an early community already knew how to move massive stones, build walls, organize space, and carry out religious ceremonies on a small island. In southeastern Turkey, there are massive stone pillars that have stood still for nearly 12,000 years. They come from an age with no writing, no metal, and no means of transportation. People at that time lived in small groups of hunter-gatherers, constantly moving in search of food. Yet at Göbekli Tepe, they accomplished something that seemed impossible. Beneath the ground are a series of circular and oval spaces surrounded by stone walls. And more than 200 T-shaped stone pillars. Some of the pillars are several meters tall and weigh dozens of tons. At the center of each area, there are usually two larger pillars facing each other, like figures silently watching over the entire ritual space. Carved into the stone are images of snakes, foxes, wild cattle, birds of prey, scorpions, and many abstract symbols that have still not been fully understood. After being used for centuries, the structures at Göbekli Tepe were not destroyed by war or natural disasters. They appear to have been deliberately buried by people using soil, rubble, and animal bones. Göbekli Tepe does not prove the existence of a civilization with technology far ahead of its time. It shows that people 12,000 years ago were capable of organizing, building, and thinking in ways far more complex than history had previously recognized. Those T-shaped stone pillars still stand on that hill as evidence that civilization may not have begun with agriculture, but with the need to gather, perform rituals, and search for a meaning greater than survival. Thousands of years have passed. The kingdoms that built these monuments are gone. The craftsmen who created them left behind no explanations. But the stones are still standing. They continue to challenge time, engineering, and even what we think we know about history. Maybe one day, science will explain it all. Or maybe there are still chapters of the past that humanity has never read. If you enjoy stories that make us see history from a different perspective, be sure to follow the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.